Hello everyone, today we are going to introduce the last topic of this unit, which is called radical equation. So before we start, let's quickly check a warm-up question. So this question, as you can see, it says square root of x equal 2. Then try to solve it in mental math. You can definitely pause the video and think about what possible value of x can make the equation 2. So probably already have figured the idea. So definitely we know x equal 4 can make it happen because square root of x square root of 4, which is 2. So that means that works. So as you can see, this kind of equation, and the most important part you note, there is a square root symbol. Then this kind of equation we call radical equation. So for example, if you see this one, we have a square root sign symbol here, and under the square root symbol is the variable here, x minus 1 equals 2. So this type of equation is radical equation. And so today's topic is going to focus on how do we solve this kind of equation. So we're going to practice several examples together and think about what are the key strategies you will use to solve this equation. So let's solve this one. So the first equation we are going to work on is a square root of 2x minus 1 equals 4. So when we solve regular equation, it's very similar to when we solve a regular equation. The most important thing is, in order to solve it, we are going to isolate x. But as you can see, we have x under the square root symbol. So the most important thing, the first one is get rid of this. I mean, it's not always the first step, but definitely is we need to get rid of this. And first part is actually we need to like isolate this part first, and then when you isolate this part, you get rid of this one. I think that will make more sense. So let's check. So I'm going to use a different color to show the different steps here. So as you can see, the first one is 2x minus 1 equals 4. So in order to get rid of square root symbol, some student probably already figured out the idea. We need to square it. So meaning you do something on the left side, I do exactly the same thing on the right side. And then we can simplify. So now square root is gone, is here. So 4 plus 4 is 6. 4 plus 4, sorry, 4 squared is 16. So then we just solve equation, solve like regular equation. Then we just plus 1, 2x equals 17, divided by 2, divided by 2. So nothing new here because this is just our regular equation, like here. And you can definitely check back to original equation. So since it's 17 over 2, so we just plug in here. 17 over 2 times 2 cancel is 17. 17 minus 1, 16. Radical square root of 16, which is 4. Check. Okay? So, as you can see, the only one difference you see is we need to deal with square root symbol. That's all. So most likely all we need to do is we need to work around square root symbol to figure it out. So let's check one more example here. So as you can see this here, we need to deal with several things together because we need to deal with something around square root of x. We also have minus 4. So before we start that, we need to think about this one. So I have a question for you. Sorry. If we need to solve this equation, what's your first step to do? Some students probably already figure out I need to plus 4. Exactly. So when we deal with this kind of thing, as I mentioned, the very first thing we actually need to isolate. Instead of final thing, isolate x, we actually need to isolate square root. That's actually the very key step. That's the first one. So I'm going to underline this one again. So the reason is, if you want to square this part, we need to make sure it is isolated first, and then you can, using square two sides of the equation, then get rid of the square root symbol. But first step is do that. So we are going to plus 4. Now I have this. However, as you can see, in order to isolate the square root, I still have 3 here. So some students might wonder, hey, how do I deal with 3? So some students might say, how can I minus 3 or divide 3? So remember, when we put something like number in front of square root to this actually invisible multiplication here. So we're actually dealing with multiplication here. So that's why in order to get rid of 3, we need to divide it. Now we finally have this. I can get rid of square root symbol. See, when you isolate, you have to make sure there's nothing around square root. There's no number in front of this. There's no like minus or plus this. So this is, strategy of this. Very similar to the way we did it before. 8 squared, 64. Do not forget to check it to make sure everything is right. We can just, let's use mental math to quickly check. 64 plug in here. Square root of 64 is 8. 3 times 8 is 24. 24 minus 4, 20. Okay, so quickly use mental math to check, so make sure everything is correct. Before we leave, before we finish this one, I want to show this challenge question to you. However, I'm not going to show the answer here. So your job is to think about this equation and solve the equation on your own. And I look forward to seeing your answer soon. So think about this. What will you do to solve this equation? Okay, thank you so much for watching this video and study this topic with me. Again, try to go back to check are all the key strategies, key steps we mentioned before to work on this equation. Okay, see you soon, everyone. Take care.